What's up, football world? I am Bucky Brooks, and this is the Bucky Brooks Show. And I am really excited to already turn the page on the 2025 draft and look ahead to 2026. And one of the things that's really interesting to me is in all these conversations that I've had with people that are working with teams, et cetera, they all are talking about the 2026 class of quarterbacks. Remember, in this draft, there were teams that doubled up when it came to trading away their first round pick to acquire multiple picks in the first round in 2026. The Rams and the Cleveland Browns notably did that. And that really stood out to me in the middle of the draft weekend. Like, why would these teams do it? And so right after the draft, I was like, let me get on the horn. Let me talk to some people and find out. And they told me, they said, Buck, I'm telling you right now, the quarterback class that is on the horizon might be the best quarterback class that we've seen in some time. They're the kind of players that everybody is going to fall in love with, because if you're a guy that likes the traditional drop back passer, they have those. There's some dual threat playmakers that you have. They're the big body prototypes that you love. They're the undersized gunslingers with big production and clutch performance. So whatever it is that you're looking for at quarterback, it appears to be available in 2026. And so I wanted to get out in front of the masses, talk about some of these quarterbacks that we're going to see, and then later in the summer and early in the fall, we can do a deep dive on some of the names that we're going to talk about over and over again as we get closer to the draft a year from now. But let's start at the top, and we're going to work down from number 8 to number 1. So let's talk about the kid from Iowa State, Rocco Becht. Look, son of a pro, understands it, has bloodlines and those things which you absolutely like. At Iowa State, he has proven to be a very effective gunslinger for Matt Campbell and company. When you look at his performance, you look at his production, there's a lot to like about him. He can slice defenses up with surgical precision. He's great running a quick rhythm offense that really puts him in a position to really operate like a pass-first point guard. The ball is in and out. He gets it to perimeter. He's a little more dink and dunk of a playmaker in terms of his playing style, but he's effective when he's on. I would say that he struggles a little bit with his inconsistency when it comes to his ball placement and accuracy. But as a streaky quarterback, man, when he is hot, he can lead an offense that can blow you completely out the stadium. The thing that we want to see is, can he become more consistent? Can he deliver in big games? And more importantly, can he continue to take the Cyclones to another level? But overall, there are a lot of little things that you like about Rocco Becht, but he has some work to do to prove that he can be one of those guys that we talk about at the top of the charts. But if you're looking for a catch and throw wizard, man, they're not many better than the Iowa State standout. At number 7, let's talk about Carson Beck, who made the transfer to Miami. The former Georgia standout really showed a lot of guts, a lot of resilience, the toughness that you like during this time at Georgia. I just think about how tough and gritty he was in a couple of key moments for the Bulldogs. One comes to mind, them coming back against Alabama, making that a game when they were down early. The way that he played and performed at Georgia Tech when, look, he had hurt himself, but continued to kind of will his team to a win. Love all of those things. Now, the thing about Carson Beck, because he is someone that we talked about last year, maybe making a move to be a first-round pick and to be in that conversation with the tops of the class. Didn't necessarily bring the consistency that you wanted to see, and so it didn't happen for him. Surprisingly, he made a transfer. He goes to the U to play for Mario Cristobal. This is a great move for him because he's going to have a talent collection of playmakers around him. He's going to have an opportunity to kind of shed some of the things that hovered over him at Georgia, and he is going to have a chance to prove to us, much like Cam Ward did at Miami, that he can be a legitimate guy. Now, the tools and the talent are there. He has the size, 6'4", 220. He has the arm talent that you believe is worthy of being a top pick, but he just doesn't have the accuracy, and he hasn't put the consistency together to convince us that he is a first-round talent. But classic drop-back passer. He has quick release. He has big-time arm strength. He can spin it with the best of them. And he's a fifth-year senior who has the intangibles and toughness to be a guy that really can intrigue evaluators. But what we want to see from him this year down in Miami can he take his game up to another level? Because as a franchise quarterback, we expect him to be able to carry a team and lead them to higher heights. He's done it at Georgia, where he had like a team full of weapons that, look, he was able to kind of make plays on occasion and flash that. But now we want to see if he can turn those flashes into consistent performance. If he does that, man, we may talk about him being, look, a viable contender to be number one, number two coming off the board. He has the traditional stuff that you look for in a pro-style system, but can he play to his potential? That's what we want to see from him this season. Let's go to number 6, Cade Klubnik from Clemson. Now, I'm going to say this. I know that there are some guys that have him rated much higher than I have him right now, and we'll see how it plays out over time. What I've seen from Klubnik during his time at Clemson is he's a super intriguing prospect. He's 6'2", 210 pounds. He has dynamic dual threat ability, even though I don't believe Clemson leans into that enough given his athleticism and stuff. But he is a unique offensive weapon because he is a polished pocket passer and he has explosive running ability. The last time I used those two traits to describe somebody, it was Jaden Daniels. I'm not quite ready to say that Cade Klubnik could be Jaden Daniels, but he certainly could enjoy a meteoric rise up the charts like Daniels did his final season in LSU. When I look at him, the size, the arm talent, the athleticism, he is scheme friendly because he has the tools to play in any system, whether it's a pro-style system that requires him to be a classic drop-back passer or one that taps into his running skills on design quarterback runs and read options and RPOs. He has all of that stuff in his bag. 2+ year starter. He's directed an offense that has showcased his skills. He just needs more experience and seasoning. If he shows this year that he can kind of smooth out some of the rough patches of his game, lead Clemson back to prominence, I think you are going to see him skyrocket up the charts, and he is going to be one of those guys that's in play for being QB1 in this class. Spectacular, intriguing for a team builder looking for a guy with the toolsy stuff. Cade Klubnik could be a guy that is certainly in the conversation next year at this time when we talk about the draft. Number 5, I'm just going to call him public enemy number 1, Nico Iamaleava. I messed that up. Nico Iamaleava from UCLA. He's public enemy number 1 because everyone is outraged by what took place at Tennessee. Regardless of the reports, him asking for more money, all of those things, it has rubbed some folks the wrong way. And that will impact how certain people look at him because they won't be able to kind of cast that aside. But when you look at the player, there's a lot to like about the player. In that offense in Tennessee, where they split everyone from C to C and they create a lot of home run opportunities, man, Nico really took advantage of it. There are not many people who have the physical tools that you covet in a franchise quarterback, but also has a production to match it. When I look at him, 6'6", 215, tall but kind of slender, but man, quick release, big time range as a deep ball passer, nice running skills, a mobile playmaker in an offense that really puts a lot on the quarterback. I love all of that. In making the transition to UCLA, we'll see if Nico's a guy that can handle a mix of RPOs, bootlegs, and traditional drop back passers to really open up the playbook for a play caller that has someone of his talents at his disposal. What I want to see is, can he become a really pinpoint passer? Can he push the ball down the field and make consistent throws on in-breaking routes, much like he did at Tennessee? But I want to see if he can do it outside of that offense in Tennessee, because people will say, hey, the scheme creates a lot of those big play opportunities that he was able to feast on. My eyes tell me that Nico has the talent and tools to shine in any system. Moving on to UCLA, playing for Deshaun Foster, he'll have an opportunity to show us that he's legit. But I'm telling you, if you cast aside the questions that people have about the character because of the contract squabbles, man, this dude has it. I just want to see if it comes to fruition while he's in Westwood. At 4, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. I'm going to say this. When you have like bloodlines and you're a coach's son and your dad has coached at a high level at multiple stops, man, you may have a step or two ahead of the competition when it comes to your football IQ and those things. When I look at Nussmeier perform, look down in Death Valley, you can tell that he certainly gets it at a high level. Slender gunslinger, very efficient when it comes to executing the dink and dunk offense. High completion percentage, doesn't miss layups, really makes this offensive go by getting it out of his hands and allowing the playmakers to make plays. At LSU, you always going to have weapons and playmakers around you. His job is literally to distribute the ball and get out the way. When I kind of project him to how he needs to play at the next level, man, this is someone who can spin it and get it out of his hands, very similar to the way that I would say Brock Purdy plays in San Francisco. Get it out, let the guys go to work, high completion percentage, manage the game, make the plays that are there. And I'm not saying that he's just a game manager, but I'm saying he has the kind of tools that if you're one of those coordinators who kind of want to operate with a quarterback that's a joystick that allows you to run the offense through him, that's Garrett Nussmeier. Smart, great processor, ball is deadly accurate in the strike zone. He does all those things that you want. The questions that you have, man, he's slender, he's undersized. Will durability be a concern? Is he not athletic enough, but athletic enough to do some of the other things that teams are looking for in quarterbacks? But if you're talking about processing speed, IQ, efficiency, man, there are not many that will rate above Nussmeier. That's why I got him number 4 on this list, knowing that he has the potential to go up as teams are looking for that cerebral playmaker to put at QB1. At 3, maybe my favorite quarterback prospect, even though I don't have him at number 1, and that is LaNorris Sellers from South Carolina. 6'3", 242 pounds. And when we think about the new school quarterbacks that are coming into the league and flashing dominant traits, LaNorris Sellers is that. He is rugged. He is physical. He has the ability to tuck the ball up under his right arm and make it happen as a runner, but he also has the patience and discipline to dial it up from the pocket. When I think about the guys that are looking for what we call these prototypes, right? A+ arm talent, A+ athleticism, check when it comes to LaNorris Sellers and his evaluation. He has a game that really forces defenses to make tough choices. Do you want to deal with him as a power runner, or do you want to deal with him as a precise pocket passer? Regardless, he can beat you either way. And as someone who is just kind of coming into his own when it comes to mastering the finer parts of the game, you can just see that he has the traits and tools to potentially be a superstar at the next level. And as more NFL teams embrace a dual threat quarterback, a quarterback that can create on the script and off the script, man, LaNorris Sellers is going to be a real attractive option as a quarterback. What I want to see for him is, can he go through this season and continue to build upon what he displayed and what he teased evaluators with last season at South Carolina? Because if he continues to build upon the flashes that he displayed last year, oh, there are a lot of people that are going to view him as QB1 when it comes down to it. Size, toughness, athleticism, arm talent, he has it all. Let's see if he can put it on display in 2025. At 2, and this is interesting, right? There was conversation last year in the college football playoff about this guy potentially coming out and how he could be the first quarterback if he comes out. And that was Drew Allar from Penn State. 6'5", 238. Prototype, right? He is the prototypical quarterback that we have looked for in the NFL over the last 50 years. Big size, big toughness, classic drop back thrower, big time arm talent, nimble feet within the pocket. He throws darts from the pocket when it comes to being able to deal with touch, timing, and precision. Great anticipation, throwing the ball, throwing wide receivers open in traffic, but also has the ability to improvise a little bit when he has to step outside of the pocket. And what I love about him and what a lot of offensive coordinators are going to find attractive about him is he has the ability to play on script, but also is able to kind of work off the script. And as we think about the quarterbacks that typically succeed in the league, they're guys who have, I would say, plus arm talent, who can operate as high game managers, high-end game managers, but also can be those playmakers that can make the things happen when the game is in a pinch. He flashes that, but we need to see more of the playmaking ability in big games. When I think about Penn State, not the significant or the signature wins that you expect from a program, if he can knock off a few of those and put some big wins on his resume, it's going to be hard to knock him, because from the physical tools to the intangibles and the intelligence, he has a lot of the desirable traits that you look for in a QB1. It's about the resume. Can he make the resume pop when you look at it? If he does that, we're talking about QB1 right now. And finally, and this is crazy, but a lot of this is legacy and name and projecting how he will follow the footsteps of his uncle. But Arch Manning from Texas enters the season viewed as QB1. And I know it is crazy, and I'm saying this, it's crazy to put him as the number one QB in this class, given his small resume. Like 2 starts, I think he played against Louisiana Monroe and Texas UT San Antonio. And you had a chance to see the athleticism. You saw the arm talent. You saw his ability to play inside and outside the pocket. You saw the swag and all those things. You also saw how he operated with a talented set of playmakers around him. But the thing that makes Arch Manning attractive is when you look at his uncles, Eli and Peyton, and how he is, look, a better athlete, a more talented passer, a more gifted player than both of those guys, you just begin to think that if he has any of what made them special, you're talking about a more talented player than Eli and Peyton. And given the fact that we know Peyton is a Hall of Famer, Eli is likely to be a Hall of Famer, why wouldn't you view Arch Manning as a guy who has gold jacket potential? That said, he hasn't played enough to really know what he is. And so a lot of this is grading him on the curve, grading him as a player who has big play potential, who has all of the pedigree that you want. It's just he's an unproven commodity. And when you think about the Mannings and how the Mannings are typically operated, we might be a little premature in expecting him to come out in 2026 when the uncles played significant snaps at the collegiate level. He may be more likely to be a 2027 quarterback prospect when he's able to log 2 years of starts, fully develop his game, and then he is able to kind of come into the league celebrated as the obvious choice as QB1. But right now in 2026, look, he's the leader in the clubhouse, not only because of the name, but because of the prototypes and because we are so caught up in the pedigree, we just have to give him the nod as the QB1. We'll see, because when the rubber meets the road and we get a chance to really see him as a starter, maybe that opinion will change. And maybe the opinion will also change given the fact that he didn't knock Quinn Ewers out of the QB1 spot, and Quinn Ewers was a 7th round pick. But I think some people will say, hey, Ewers was a more experienced quarterback for a team that had national title aspirations. Maybe they wanted to ease the young guy into the situation at Texas. Regardless, the pedigree pops. The pedigree makes people intrigued, and the pedigree is going to give him a chance to be the QB1 of this class when it's all said and done. Overall, there's a lot to like about this class. There's a lot to like about the potential in terms of finding a traditional passer, finding a mobile playmaker, finding someone that can be your franchise quarterback for the next decade. That is why there's so much intrigue in NFL scouting circles about the players that are on the horizon at the quarterback position. And guess what? There's some other guys that could emerge that could challenge these guys in the conversation, but we'll see what that looks like when we get to the season. So those are my thoughts initially on the 2026 quarterback class. A lot of potential, a lot of players, a lot of playmakers. But I know this, NFL scouts are excited. They cannot wait to get on the road to see these guys spin it live, because these are the guys that are going to change the fortunes of some franchises in the near future. That is the podcast for the day. Make sure you continue to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you check out all the cool things that we're doing at Believe. Make sure you shout me out. Hit me in the mentions. Hit me on Twitter at Bucky Brooks. A lot of stuff to talk about as we begin to turn the page from 2025 draft to looking at 2026 and also all the cool things that are going to happen this season. Until next time, I'm Bucky Brooks. I'll catch you soon.